Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, December 14th, 2018.
Commissioner Cabello, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ali Pusti, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Alan Cowgidge, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, John Ollinger, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Gary Harris, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. No speaker cards on any of the items for today's agenda.
All right, we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Agenda item number 3 is specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids in Council District 11 for the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant Underground High Pressure Effluent, Low Pressure Effluent Valves Replacement Project. The estimate is $1,843,600. The bid receipt date is January 23rd, 2019. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 3 forthwith by Commissioner Jacinto? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 2, Council District 5, Street Closure Extension, Constellation Boulevard between Century Park East and Avenue of the Stars, recommending that the board first extend the ongoing temporary street closure of Constellation Boulevard between Century Park East and Avenue of the Stars to Friday, June 21, 2019, subject to the conditions identified within the previously approved board report that was dated May 4th, 2018. That's transmittal number 1. Mr. Braish? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Omar Braish from Bureau of Engineering, Metro Transit Division. Metro and their contractor, TPOG, is requesting to extend the existing temporary street closure of Constellation Boulevard between Century Park East and Avenue of the Stars to June 21st, 2019, to construct piling, decking, utility support, and excavation of launch box for the tunneling machine. On May 4, 2018, the Board of Public Works granted Metro contractor TPOG permission to close Constellation Boulevard between Century Park East and Avenue of the Stars for 9 months, beginning May 7, 2018 and ending January 31, 2019. Due to the unforeseen utility conflicts and necessary additional utility relocations, the street closure was not implemented until September 21, 2018. This current request from TPOG is the adjustment to the ending date of ongoing street closure to reflect the 9-month duration that was first previously approved by the Board of Public Works. Justification for the closure is unchanged from the Board of Approval of May 4, 2018. In addition, TPOG plans to submit a separate request to the Board to extend the closure additional 6 months once the environmental documents are completed. Council District 5 communicated that they support the peak hour exemption for the extended closure. And also, work hour restriction for night and early morning and Sunday construction has been granted by the Los Angeles Police Department. Metro stated that they're committed to providing advance notice and mitigating construction impacts in Century City neighborhoods, in advanced construction activities and during the life of the project. Casey Schuder from Metro will be giving a short presentation on the outreach. And if you have any questions, a representative from Metro, LADOT, and TPOG are here today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners, President James. Casey Schuder here. I'm not going to go through my whole presentation. Basically, just an update. We've been in constant communication with the building managers, the parking managers, the security managers of all the high-rise buildings around this area. We were updating them continually from our approval in May through the start date in September, letting them know, hey, we're not ready to start. We told them we'd give them 2 weeks hard notice. We were able to give about a month notice. No one was that concerned that we didn't start exactly on time. They were willing to let it start later. So everyone has been provided this notice. Everyone provided us approval. We continue to meet every other month with the building managers all together, and then we send weekly email communications with updates to all the construction that's happening outside. We've taken some additional measures in the area using coast officers to help with illegal turns. People frustrated with the new configuration were doing some illegal turns which held up traffic. So we've been using coast officers in those areas, which really helped the flow of traffic. And we're going to continue with those coast offers through the holiday season. The Westfield Mall is nearby. We want to make sure that area stays free and clear. And then we'll reevaluate in January. But so far, so good in Century City.
Is the reevaluation in January just to make a determination if some of the tenants in the area that are accessing the buildings will have then been trained on the new routes as well as the various additional or other entrances that are accessible for visitors in the area?
Correct. We're hoping the coast officers serve as an educational component of the closure. We're also looking to do some signal timing adjustments and crosswalk signal adjustments, which have taken some time. We hope those to be in place by January, which would help facilitate the traffic movements in that area as well.
Okay, and I remember when this first occurred back in May, and then it looked like time went by, and from their perspective, there's a setup for the closure, but it's not really happening. And then, of course, we learned that there were some unforeseen circumstances that we've already discussed at the board that resulted in moving the date of the closure. My question, that's just really a preface for my question, which is the closure date, the ending of the closure date, June 21, 2019. Is that a date that Metro is confident you will be able to hit?
We do. We have been talking about adding a 6-month extension to that closure date. We have been talking to the building managers about that for the past year and a half. So when we first came to them with the idea of the closure, we asked that the 9-month be approved. That had been studied environmentally, and we told them at that time, over a year ago, that we were going to be looking for a 6-month extension. So in the building manager's mind, they believe that there's a 15-month closure expected. So while we need to finish some technical documents, some environmental documents, and come back for approval, in the minds of the building managers, they already believe it will be a 15-month closure. So we've been sort of getting ahead of our outreach.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Davis?
In terms of our outreach, we've been coordinating, obviously, with the council office for the area.
Yes, of course.
And, okay, good, and obviously they're on board with it.
Yes, CD5 attends our bi-monthly communication meetings with the building managers, and they're also copied on all of our weekly emails with the constituents.
Great, thank you. Any further questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Thank you all. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Agenda item number 1. Council District 14, street closure, St. Louis Street and 2nd Street intersection, St. Louis Street and Michigan Avenue intersection, and Artemis Street from Mission Road to 310 feet west of Anderson Street, recommending that the board authorize full closures at the following locations for the construction of the Active Transportation Program Cycle 1 Safe Routes to School improvements for the Sheridan Street Elementary School and Breed Street Elementary School project. A, the intersection of St. Louis Street at 2nd Street from January 2nd, 2019 to March 4th, 2019. B, the intersection of St. Louis Street at Michigan Avenue from February 4th, 2019 to May 3rd, 2019. And along Artemis Street from Mission Road to 310 feet west of Anderson Street from December 10th, 2018, which we are in, until March 31, 2020. Mr. Wang.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. My name is George Huang. I'm from the Bureau of Engineering, from the Street and Stormwater Division. The board report you have before you today is to I'll have the board authorize the closures of these 3 intersections. The first 2, which is the St. Louis and 2nd Street and St. Louis and Michigan Avenue, the closures are needed for the contractor to construct the mini roundabouts at the intersection. The contractor right now is ready to mobilize as soon as this board report is adopted. They need the full closure in order to maintain the traffic, or in order to ensure like the public safety in the intersection when they're constructing the work. There's the mini roundabout you have in the picture before you is right in the middle of the intersection. So at that time, it's hard to, because they're local streets and they're very narrow, the contractor can work much more faster and efficiently with a full closure at these 2 intersections. And the third closure that we're requesting, it says December 10th, but because the board report hasn't been adopted yet, the contractor hasn't moved in, so their earliest planning to move in is December 17th on Monday. They are using this area as a construction laydown area, so they can transport equipment to the nearby to where the project site is located, which is in the Boyle Heights area. And then the DOT has already adopted the traffic control measures that the contractor is proposing to implement the full closure. And we have also discussed the proposal with Council District 14, and they are supportive of the proposed closure and detour periods. And then prior to the construction of the 2 mini roundabouts and the closures and the closure for the construction laydown area, the contractor will submit a advanced construction notice to the nearby property owners, at least a minimum of 7 days before they move in. So we respectfully ask the board to consider this street closure proposal in this board report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. This is probably more of a DOT question, and my colleagues will probably think I'm going to be a broken record about roundabouts, but one of the things I am concerned about is when outreach is done to property owners, and there are a lot of rental properties around the project site, I'd like to know whether or not there'd be any outreach done to the people that actually live there, the renters, and I'd also like to know if there's any education done on roundabouts as well, because I think they're rather unfamiliar to most folks in LA, and they can be difficult to navigate. I myself have issues trying to learn how to use a roundabout. Right. So if you can maybe get back to me and figuring out whether DOT or the contractor has done any real outreach to the people that actually live there, not just the property owners, on both the construction and education around the roundabouts. I'd really appreciate it.
Sure, and I can tell you, as DOT was putting together this active transportation program, this ATP Cycle 1 project, part of the application itself is to benefit the schools, the safe routes part of which is Sheridan Elementary and Breed Elementary School. So at that time, I know DOT, they had talked to the schools about the proposals that were being implemented on this project, including the roundabouts, but I can get back to you more specifically if there was more further discussions about how roundabouts are.
That would be great. I really appreciate that. And also any outreach to the actual renters that live there would be good to know as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cinto.
Thank you, President James. George, thank you for this. Seconding Commissioner Cabello's comments too. This is going to be a 2- and 3-month closure during school. So there's going to be a lot of detour, and just want to ensure that both the schools, both the local residents understand either the detour plan and how to get to school to and from, because it is a full closure. Do you have any comments, or have they worked that all out? I don't see a detour plan in or traffic control plan or detour plan in the board report. Do we have one, or is it just a closure and everybody's just got to go around?
There is it should be in the transmittal for the roundabout. There is a traffic detour plan that's already been reviewed and approved by DOT. If not, we can provide you a copy. And basically, they're going to use the adjacent side streets as the detour routes for when the intersection is closed. Because it's a residential street, they're able to use the next street over. Yes, sir, that's the one.
Okay, I want to confirm that there is a Phase 1 traffic control plan, detour plan that's included in there, George. So
Correct, and there'll be signages as the drivers are approaching the intersection to not go further down if they want to have through access. They'll be directed to the adjacent side streets. And then the ones who live in that area, they will be provided local access into the property. So the contractor will maintain access to all properties during the time of construction.
excellent. I wanted to know that too. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I think Vice President Cabello said that it is important for us to do outreach, and that issue has really come up time and again on this board in terms of those who are renters. You did mention to us that you've had contact with the council office.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a discussion with them about outreach to the constituents in the area, including those who are renting as well?
Absolutely. When we approached them with the proposal for to do the street closure, first thing they said was, we need to send them the flyers that we plan to send out to the nearby property owners. The council office wants to be updated in terms of when the closure is going to start. They want to make sure that we send out those flyers and keep all the residents notified that when.
That include renters as well? Did you have that conversation with them as well? I would think that they would have an investment as well in making sure that all of the citizens get it. Certainly, we understand the accountability around property owners, but also we must understand and appreciate the investment around residents, those who live there day in and out, who are the people who really have to be accountable for the area. So it would appear to me that the council office would have an investment in making sure that that is done, but that discussion didn't take place, did it?
They do. They have the council office has an outreach team that knows about the project when we sat down with them, and then in addition to our contractor knocking on the doors of all the adjacent owners, they also will. The council office, their outreach staff will also be talking to the property owners nearby as well. So,
but you're saying property owners, and I agree that is critically important. My discussion is about the renters that live there, perhaps are not the owners, but yet are the residents who have a stake in the community, who also are very important to things that are going on in the area, and they should have notification. And my thought was that the council office would have an investment in helping to make sure that that happens.
Oh, okay, sure.
But it looks like we never had that conversation with them. You said they had an outreach team, right?
Right.
So it would appear to me that short of us putting a policy together to ensure that would be a natural outgrowth from those conversations between the Bureau and the council office.
Absolutely. We'll bring that up to the council office that we had about the renters and make sure that they're also notified, not just the property owners as well.
I think that would be a great task for the outreach team.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Commissioner Jacinto has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 1 forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. And is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, November 16th, 2018 by Commissioner Cabello? Any objection? Without objection, those meeting minutes will be approved. Agenda item number 4, task order solicitation number SN53, update from the Bureau of Sanitation. Ms. Mowry.
Good morning, President
Thank you for
James.
being here.
Oh, delighted. Commissioners, Bureau representatives, Dr. Campos, and Mr. Jordan. I am very pleased to be here to talk to you about the work that we're doing under our TOS SN53. This was a TOS that we entered into about 2.5 years ago, And we had two key things we wanted to get out of this very comprehensive TOS.
And Lisa, can I just, from the board's perspective, just to interrupt you for just a moment, this was an item that had come, I think, probably 2 weeks ago today.
Yes.
And there was a question about, we were righting the ship regarding identity of funding sources and accounts. And just a couple of questions had come up regarding the general fund spend, for lack of a better term. And so we thought we would have just an oral report on the on SN 53, which you're doing now.
Okay,
So
great.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the context. When we set this toss up, at that time, the board adopted it with a board report where we identified the funding sources that we were intending to use, which are the funding sources associated with what were at that time our 3 core programs, which have now expanded. So we had identified the wastewater funds, the stormwater funds, the solid resources funds. Since that time, due to lack of funding in our stormwater program, the city has started funding stormwater capital projects using general fund. And so when we came to the board 2 weeks ago, it was to add general fund money to pay for work that was occurring for the Biona Creek EIR, which had previously been paid from stormwater, but with the shift from the city to start paying that from the general fund side, that was why we needed to add that as a funding source. A little more about this particular toss. First of all, so far through the end of October, we've spent a little over $8 million out of the $14 million budget. Before this toss expires in July of 2019, we do expect to almost fully expend the $14 million budget. Really good news to report on the subcontracting side of things. On the MBE side of things, we are very close to meeting the goal of 16.3. I do expect we will be able to meet that. Our largest MBE subcontractor is the one who's providing program support for the stormwater program. So due to lack of funding, what they've been working on has been limited. With the recent passage of Measure W, the county measure to provide funding for stormwater, we do expect to be doing more work in this area and utilizing that MBE. We are exceeding our WBE. We've got 7.8% participation so far. For the emerging businesses, we are at 6.8, and for small businesses, we are at 11.3, which I think is really great to get those small businesses in. A little bit about how the funding is split across the TOS. The second table on there, I'm showing both what the spend and the split has been to date, as well as our projection. On the stormwater funding side of things, we're at about 11%. We expect to maintain that with the new general fund source being about 1%. For our clean water program, we've got a split between our capital and our O&M funds. Overall, definitely the majority of the work we've been doing has been for our clean water program. So far, we're running just under 60%. I expect that will increase to about 68% before the end of this toss. And on the solid resources program, we've been at about 31%. That will actually go down to 21% because we've already done a lot of the work that we're going to be doing for the solid resources program. Some of the types of projects that we've been using have been looking at, a lot of the work has been around the water recycling. As we go forward doing projects at both Hyperion and our Donald C. Tillman water reclamation plant, we've been doing a lot of work under this TOS moving towards alternative design, alternative delivery methods, looking at progressive design build, which can work very well for projects where we really want to have a performance metric that the developer has to meet. Producing a certain amount of water, having it available at a very high rate, and progressive design build works well for that. So the consultant team has been helping us quite a bit on that. They're also working on our organic strategy on our solids program, which is a huge new area where we've got to do a lot of work. One of the nice things about having this large TOS has been how we've seen how work that we're doing on one side of the house can inform work we're doing on the other side of the house. Whereas traditionally, a project on the solid side would have one TOS, a water recycling TOS would be separate. As we're moving into the progressive design build and other alternative delivery methods, it's been a great way for the consultant team to work together and to take the work that was done for water recycling project at Hyperion and use that for an organics processing facility at Clark's. We've also had that interconnection looking at our solid resources rates and where they need to be in the future, and our wastewater rates for the clean water program, and making sure we're using consistent assumptions between the two of those, so that as these proposals, which will go forward separately, but that they are in sync with one another. So that's been a really good benefit of having all of this work under this one TOS. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Commissioner Davis.
I just want to give some observations about our work done in inclusion in terms of minority business enterprises, women business enterprises, emerging businesses, and small business enterprises. And I am very pleased with what we have been able to accomplish as of this report on that. And obviously, this board is excited about our continued progress in that area. So thank you so much for that. I see a market change and growth from the projects that have been presented in this quarter. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Lisa, thank you for this report. It's very positive to see an integrated TOS working across the different core services of our Bureau of Sanitation. Can I ask a question regarding the primes, or who are the primes that we are working with across these three sections?
The prime for this TOS is Carollo. And then what we've done subcontracting to them are some other fairly large consulting firms that are acting, each one as the lead over a program. So for our watershed protection is Cordoba, which is our largest MBE on this project. For the clean water program, it's Stantec. And for the solid resources program, it's, well, CH, now Jacobs.
Jacobs.
Yeah.
Okay, so 4. Corollo is a prime, and then, yeah, those kind of trio of folks, of firms working in those different areas.
Right.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Lisa, thank you for the background, for the context, for the explanation. And to echo Commissioner Davis, you know, the MBE and the WBE numbers on this TOS are good. Mid double digits on, meaning, you know, it's on MBE at 16%, really close to the pledged amount. Beyond the pledged amount at WBE and almost to double digits on WBE. These are some of the best numbers that we've seen in recent years, and we're kind of seeing that across the board with a number of our members of the Public Works family, and it's great that sanitation's right there too, so we appreciate it.
And just to confirm with the board, we heard the message loud and clear. When we're making adding funding sources, we will do it via board report. We will not do it via motion, so that the whole story is very clear to everyone.
Hey, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And Mr. President, I want to note that I heard that Jacobs, i.e. CH2M Hill, was also associated with this project. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, they are the lead on the solid resources side.
And they tend to be one of the companies that have really done great performance for us and have consistently been an exemplar of what we've been looking for. So I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Davis. The oral report will be received.
Great. Thank you,
ma'am.
everyone.
Have a nice weekend. Agenda item number 5, status of grant-funded programs and projects. Let's start with sanitation today.
President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. My name is Tanya Baruman, and I am with LA Sanitation. As requested by the board, LA San has prepared a comprehensive grants report for the period covering June 1st through November 30th, 2018. Attachments A through F have been distributed for your reference. Currently, LA Sand Management manages a grant portfolio in the amount of $30.3 million, representing 34 executed grant agreements as reflected in the semi-annual active grant summary. Details of the active grants can be found in attachment B. The $30.3 million represents 2 grants totaling $3.6 million for the Clean Water Program, 4 grants totaling $3.4 million for the Environmental Quality Program, 18 grants totaling $9.3 million for the Solids Program, and 10 grants totaling nearly $14 million for the Watershed Protection Program. Attachment C shows that LA Sand was awarded $8.4 million in grant funding, and Attachment D shows that 1 grant was denied during this reporting period. LA Sand is currently awaiting funding decisions for 11 projects, totaling $45.3 million, as shown in Attachment E. Lastly, there's an application for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan and an application for the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act loan, totaling $636.5 million, as shown in Attachment F. The project will provide for the design and construction of an advanced water purification facility to provide 35 million gallons per day of recycled water and a conveyance system to the San Fernando groundwater replenishment spreading grounds, equalization tanks to support the treatment plant, a maintenance and warehouse facility, as well as an interceptor sewer to bring flows to the plant. That's why this project is so costly. Pretty much this concludes my report, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Is it Brunin?
Baruman.
Brunin, okay, that was right. Thank you. Just a few things. First of all, the organization of this report's very helpful. We really appreciate it. Well done. But something that we mentioned in the briefing that I mentioned that I was going to maybe raise in the hearing this morning, just an explanation of the grant that was denied on the $1 million grant that was denied, kind of going forward what we do. I know that unless it's just a one shot, then we have to let it go. But if it's not a one-shot deal, then we can learn from it and reapproach. Would you talk about what sanitation's doing in respect to that?
Sure, exactly. So that was for the Environmental Research and Education Foundation grant, and it focuses on recycling and food waste prevention. And typically when we receive a denial of grant, we set up a debrief meeting with the granting agency. And for this grant that was conducted, and 2 of the basic takeaways for this particular grant was that our ask of $1 million was a bit high, since the average award for that grant is only $160,000. And also, in our write-up, we did not explicitly state, because it was a pilot project, how our results would be applicable to other cities.
Okay.
So when grants are denied, we work with, familiar granting agencies. We do have a debrief, so in the future we can make our case stronger.
Okay, and thank you, and good luck on that to your team. And I believe I'm correct in your team works, Ms. Mowry, this is an area that you oversee, correct? So they came in for an excellent briefing with me. And one of the things I asked that I mentioned I may ask today, I just from my life, prior life in working with nonprofits, grant writers and a grants team in many ways are your most valuable employees. And when you look at the scope of the work that your team is doing here and the amount of the grants that we're getting and the level of grants that we have opportunities for, I just asked a question about, do you feel like you have the staffing that you need, and is there a budget request coming up that is something that we can always just send some voice of support to the mayor's office and our partners in the city council?
Fantastic, thank you. Yes, we do a tremendous amount of work with the staff that we have. One of the things that we've been wrestling with for the past couple of years and is reflected in our budget request is getting the right mix of classifications in the grants group. Grants folks can be coming up through the management analyst classification. We've been working to try and incorporate engineers as well. We had positions for environmental specialists. I know the environmental specialist is one that we just have never been able to fill. So we are requesting change in classification for that, and trying to grow the group to keep looking for opportunities to use other people's money for our project, which is my favorite funding source.
Excellent. And it amazes me the amount of money that great grant writers can bring in, and the amount of work that it is, and it's a specialized field, and it's a very fluid field as well, and new categories of grants are developed all the time. Things change with legislatures, so it really is fascinating, and so thank you for the update, and keep up the good work. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. I'm going to second your comments and support you in that. Lisa and Tanya, this is a great report. Having spent, a quarter century in the nonprofit sector, just writing grants, creating relationships, researching and understanding where is the resources that we can go to nothing's free, but to leverage and to be able to add to whatever we have locally is an absolute art and a science. And so I would support President James in saying whatever we could do to support you in getting the technical, in getting the writers, in getting the external folks who understand how to create the relationships to know what funders are looking for. We have, on attachment F, we have 464 for more water type of infrastructure, and those are really big ticket items for the city. So I'm going to stress whatever you need support to get more for the city using external dollars is absolutely primary. So thank you for this great report.
Thank you. Anything further? Great. Well, your report will be received from sanitation. Engineering. Good morning, sir.
Morning. Nasser El Sahib with the Bureau of Engineering, Bridge Improvement Division. I'll be giving you the summary report on our bridge projects. Please refer to the handouts that Fernando is distributing. On page number 2, it shows we have completed 1 project and we have 6 active projects in construction. So I'll be making a quick stop on every page, giving you a little bit summary for that project. The completed project for this past quarter is North Spring Viaduct over LA River. This project was completed last month, and it provided for rehabilitation of the existing bridge and widening the bridge by 26 feet to provide sufficient travel lanes and shared shoulders that can be shared with bikers. And it also provided 8-foot sidewalks on both sides of North Spring. First project in construction on page number 3. It's the first over Glendale Viaduct project. It provides for widening the bridge by 2.5 feet on both sides of the bridge, and that will provide sufficient walkway and curb barriers on both sides. This project will, once it's retrofitted, it will meet Caltrans requirements. If you can see in the bottom picture, contractor is working on strengthening and widening the foundation to provide the required seismic retrofit for the project. Contractor for this project is Steve Rados. We are anticipating to be done with this project in August 2020. It's about 30% complete right now. Next project, North Atwater Bridge. This is crossing LA River, and it provides basically, it's a steel bridge, cable stay, steel bridge that will connect the Atwater community on the east side of the LA River with the west side accessing Griffith Park. It provides access to bikers, pedestrians, and equestrians to cross LA River. The bridge is about 400 linear foot, width about 35 feet. It will be shared between pedestrians and equestrians. Right now, project is waiting for the winter season to be over. Last dry season, the project started. We completed all the foundation work. As you can see in the bottom pictures, the east abutment, west abutments, and center pier has been completed. We will resume field work in April 15. In the meantime, contractor is fabricating the steel bridge, and we are working very closely with them to meet the schedule. Right now, the project is about 30% complete. We are looking to be completing this project next December on schedule. Contractor for this project is Reyes Construction, and their contract is about $12.5 million. Next project on page number 6, it's North Spring Viaduct Phase 2. With the completion of Phase 1, we started Phase 2. And primarily, this project, the scope of this project is street improvement around North Spring. The city acquired property 1701 at North Spring, which is going to be demolished, and that will allow Willhard Street to be extended to North Spring and creating four-way signal in that intersection. And that should improve the traffic significantly and the pedestrian access to the state park that's just behind Baker Street and North Spring. The sidewalks, we will be adding sidewalks on Willhard and Baker Street that will connect to the existing sidewalks that were completed in Phase 1, and that should improve pedestrian access and vehicular access to the state park, 32-acre state park just on Baker and North Spring. Currently, and that should improve safety actually around North Spring, because right now there's many traffic that's traveling over North Spring. They want to make left turn on Willhard, which slows traffic on North Spring and make it unsafe. So with this four-signal traffic that will be added, that should improve safety significantly. Contractor for this is United Engineering. We are at 5%. We just started this project, and we should be looking to be done in 2021. Next project on page number 7, Riverside Drive Bridge near Zoo Drive. The scope, again, is seismic retrofit and widening the bridge by 26 feet, and that will add shared shoulders on both sides and wide sidewalks on both sides also of Riverside near Zoo Drive. This project is about 95% complete. Part of the project, we are creating underpass, bike path that will connect to the LA River bike path on the west side. Currently, contractor is just finishing up punch list. Once they are done, they will be looking to open up the whole project, including the architectural lighting next April 2019. Next project on page number 8 is Soto widening over Valley Boulevard and Union Pacific Railroad. This project will be widening Soto Bridge by 25 feet to a total width of 78 feet. And again, that should add shoulders on both sides of Soto and wider sidewalks on both sides of Soto Street as well. We just started this contract. We are at 5%. Contractor is Police Construction. We are working with them closely, trying to approve the submittals and start the project. And then we are looking to be done with this project in 2021. The value of the contract is $12.5 million. And we are looking for a good project. We had a good start with Police Construction. The last project on page number 9 is the Taylor Yard. Again, this is another steel bridge that will cross LA River, and that will connect, it's basically for pedestrians and bikers, that will connect the bike way on the west side of the LA River to the east. It's crossing east. As you can see in the picture, we'll be adding a little bit more bike path, about 300 to 400 bike path that will connect to an existing street. As you can see in the picture, in the top picture, it's Care Road. And that Care Road, once bikers go on Care Road, they can connect to the bike path on San Fernando Road. Contractor for this is Ortiz Construction. Their contract amount is a little bit over $18 million. We just started this project. We are at 1%, and we are looking to be done in March 2021. That concludes the report. Questions?
Any questions on the bridge improvement program, Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, President James. Not sure this is a good report. I just want to ask questions. You have this handout, and then you have this handout of funding matrix and project status. It has 112.
I don't think that's my handout. The handout is.
Is this different than?
I think
bridge?
that's just the photos.
This is the bridge improvement.
Yeah, that's the
You're not
bridge.
covering this. This
It's
is
probably the next.
Oh, not there. Okay, this is gonna. Okay, so I'm gonna hold my questions, and this you don't have any. Other than that, you mentioned the project amounts, the total amounts.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll save my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. I think it would be a little bit more helpful for myself and my colleagues if we had a little bit more information about the bridge program, maybe not just the slides, but just a little summary of where we are budget-wise, construction companies. And maybe it's because I'm new and I'm not familiar with this, but I think it'd be helpful to have a little bit more information on it.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis.
In terms of the projects of the bridges that we have under construction now, it seems that we're making reasonable progress based upon the estimated timeline of completion for each of them that you've presented today. Is that pretty accurate, would you say, summarily?
We are as soon as we get funds, we formulate project and we move as fast as possible. Normally they take a little bit longer, the bridge projects, because we are over LA River. There's a lot of regulations that we have to comply with. And typically each project takes about 2 to 3 years to complete, but we work with the contractor very closely to stay on top of them and finish, on schedule. Am I addressing the question?
Yes, you are. We haven't had any major unforeseen barriers to the completion of the bridges thus far, except for, I guess, the Soto Bridge widening, where we had the abandoned rail bridge, and I don't know what the plans are in terms of how we move forward on that, but obviously they are a part of our plans there. But aside from that particular bridge, we've not had any major barriers to the completion of the remaining projects thus far yet.
No, these are construction projects, and we hope we don't encounter unforeseen conditions. Now, if we do encounter unforeseen conditions, we will deal with them. We try to resolve them quickly. For example, the projects that you just mentioned, Soto Roadway, there is an existing steel bridge that we need to demolish to allow for the extension and expansion of the Soto Bridge. The challenge that we are experiencing right now is Union Pacific Railroad. It is to get them, on board with us, because they have to approve our submittals and they have to approve means and methods for the contractor, how they're going to demolish this steel bridge and how they're going to protect their railroad during the shoring process. So we've been working very closely with them and trying to really push. We escalated the issue up a little bit because we had a little bit lack of response, and it was impacting our project in the last 2 weeks. So we elevated the issue a little bit. This morning I got an email from their hire manager, and they promised they will send us their approval or comments by end of next week. So we get some challenges. We work very closely with them, and we try to resolve them in a timely manner to minimize the impact to our construction schedule.
Now, in terms of reporting, the viaduct, which is also a civil engineering project, is not a part of your reporting in terms of bridge improvement, right? Or it doesn't come in your division? How does that work, the viaduct?
The viaduct for the Soto Bridge, it's in our division.
But it's not a part of your report?
No. For Soto Roadway?
No.
No.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. Right.
Sir, clarification, Commissioner Davis was asking about the 6th Street Viaduct.
Oh, I'm sorry. 6th Street is not in our program. It's separate program. It's separate, yeah.
We get a separate quarterly report on 6th Street. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else? Dr. Campos, you gave us something else from Bureau of Engineering?
Yes, we do have a second speaker from the Bureau of
Okay.
Engineering.
Hi.
Good morning. My name is Dominic Mangra. I'm with Bureau of Engineering Street Improvement Program. I'll be giving you an overview of the street program
Oh,
today.
the street program.
Street
Got
program.
it. Thus, the list of 1819 street improvement master schedule,
That's correct.
which even includes the Hancock Park concrete streets. Go ahead, sir.
So
But
on
you gotta
October,
have good vision to read that one. Small words. Go ahead.
I have
We'll get out my magnifying glass. Go ahead.
as you know, our program is overseen by Street and Transportation Oversight Committee. On October 4th, 2018, we transmitted the STPOC rebaseline of our BOE Street Improvement Program master schedule for fiscal year 2018-19, which is a 3-year look ahead of our program. We started the program year with 115 projects on our schedule, having a total estimated construction cost value of approximately $268 million. As provided to you in the Gantt chart, we currently have a total of 112 projects, having a total estimated construction value of approximately $266 million. The difference is due to completing 3 projects since. The 3 projects we completed are Moore Park widening project, which was $1.393 million construction cost, funded by Metro Propsy grant. Woodley at Raymer Avenue at grade railroad crossing project, and that was $397,633 construction cost, and that was LADOT project. Broadway Brazil Street at San Fernando Road widening project, $499,871 construction cost, funded by federal grant. So most of our projects are grant funded, such as gas tax, SB1, Measure M, AHSC program, ATP program, HSIP program, and federal grants. Of the grants funded projects, many are design support for street design improvement associated with LADOT signal upgrades. And that's funded by Highway Safety Improvement Program. We have requested 60 new projects in the CIP budget to be funded with local funds, and that request came mainly from the council districts. Of our ongoing large federally funded projects, I would like to report on the progress of Century Boulevard Extension Project at Jordan Downs, which is at the Jordan Downs Low Income Housing Development in Watts. The construction cost of this project was $13.5 million. Construction is 100% complete, and this project had installed extensive Green Street element, which was basically a modular wetland system, pretty much filters the incoming storm water. And then the water either would overflow to storm drain system, or part of the water goes to storm trap, which is basically inverted a tank that has soft ground, which basically allows the infiltration of the stormwater into the ground. That recharges the groundwater. Another project I would like to report is 7th Street Streetscape project. This project is in pre-design, about 83% done. This is a transformative project, and goal of the projects are to improve the pedestrian experience, to improve the bicycle connectivity, to improve the improve the transit experience for the riders and operators. And this project will also coordinate with streetcar project at 7th and Broadway. This pretty much concludes my report. If there are any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Munger. Any questions, Commissioner Jacinto?
Okay, I'm going to jump in. Thank you. Remnick, there's 112 projects. You had mentioned some projects that were not moving forward. You at the beginning, in terms of our original projected 3-year cycle and what we ended up with. So I was just trying to follow you. It was a little bit difficult to follow all the numbers.
Actually, we started with 115 projects, and since then, we have completed 3 projects.
Okay, 3 came out, were completed, so we
Yeah,
checked them
completed.
off. These are in progress.
Yes.
$265 million worth of projects in a variety of street improvements, from concrete streets to roundabouts to, so there's a lot of diversity in these.
Yes.
Okay, and then you were highlighting some of these projects. You talked about transformative and very significant ones too as well. I just couldn't, I couldn't tell which ones, what numbers I was trying
There
to
was
follow.
number 5, 7th Street Streetscape.
Okay.
That is in pre-design right now, about 83% pre-design completed. They're trying to scope as to how they're going to basically build out the project as far as the bike lane, as far as the curb extensions, and so they are not finalized on the scope yet. So that's what they're working on.
Is that the one you kind of highlighted?
Yes.
That was the only one? Okay, so number 5. Okay, all right. And then I guess we're going to get someone else on FAB, on the First and Broadway part? Or is that yours too? Because this is the front page.
Oh,
I think that was just a bonus for us.
Okay, so Paul's not here. Paul Sang's not here. I just wanted to note that we have a program summary, project budget for First and Broadway, and it is a project that we're doing for recreation and parks. It does have a funding gap. We don't have a representative that's going to report on that.
no, I have Broadway projects, for entire length of the Broadway, but it's not First and Broadway.
Okay, well, since you teased our interest, then maybe the next time we can have a follow-up on this, because it does have a funding gap of $10 million, and it's right across the street from City Hall, so we're going to want to understand how we're filling that gap. It's a very transformative project, obviously.
Yeah, I was just coincidentally, I was speaking to one of the architects about that project last night. What might be good is to get just a brief oral report update on since you've piqued our interest with the cover sheet we got here on the budget summary. It'd be great to get just a brief update on First and Broadway.
First and Broadway, right?
First and Broadway Park?
Okay.
May have been an accident that we got the sheet, but now we're interested.
I'm a little bit novice to this entire program, so I'm learning also the names and projects too. So.
Well, there's no hurry on it. Dr. Campos will follow up with the Bureau of Engineering on it. We'll get it scheduled.
So there is a Broadway Streetscape project number 27, 1st to 4th, 6th to 8th, and 9th to 12th.
On Broadway Streetscape, yeah, I see that one.
But that's construction cost is only $2.4 million. So
yeah,
you're
that's
saying
a different
$10 million.
project.
Yeah.
By the way, Mr. Munger, the written summaries are really helpful. Okay. Once I can focus on them, the words are small, but that's fine because you have to get it on the page. But the written summaries are very helpful, and it does give us a real sense of the scope and the amount and the diversity of the work that you all do.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate it.
Great.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And street lighting. Mr. Mustafa, how are you, sir?
Morning, President.
Good morning.
Commissioners, your representatives. My name
Thank
is
you for your
Sarmos.
patience. You're our final presenter today.
No problem, no problem. I'm here representing Bureau of Street Lighting, and I'm going to go over our CDBG projects. The Community Development Block Grant is issued every year through Congress. They pass, and they send some money over to HUD, and it trickles down to the City of Los Angeles. We currently have 7 projects that were completed. But before going through all the projects, I just want to kind of go over CDBG and the process that we do in terms of getting the CDBG money and how it's done. So to begin with, the project needs to be initiated by any one of the 15 council district offices. We can't initiate it, they need to initiate it. The council district will come to us and say there's issues with some of the neighbors or some of the residents in terms of lighting, crime, whatever it may be. We'll take a look at it and we'll tell them we can help you if there's certain requirements that are met. So the first one is that every project that is done needs to be in an area that's low to moderate income. It needs to be majority. The higher the percentage of low to moderate income residents, the better your chances are of receiving the money. Another criteria is if the area is high crime or within close proximity to a school or if it's designated as slum and blight, whatever it may be, that will increase your chance of getting some of the CDBG money. Once we've determined that you've met the minimum requirements, then we go ahead and do the application process for the council district offices. The first thing is for us to determine eligibility. That's not just what I said. Also, we have to go out there and make sure that there are no DWP poles, there's no obstructions, there's no construction going on, whatever it may be. We need to go in and make sure that's actually eligible for the grant. Once we pass that, we go ahead and do our preliminary street design layout. We go out there and find out how many parcels are there, the distance between the lights, the parcels, the distance between the lights, the type of light that we may put out there, the type of luminaire, the type of post, whatever it may be, and we come up with a preliminary cost estimate. The cost estimate would be the amount that we're going to be requesting for the grant. It's a preliminary estimate. We try to get as close as possible. Once that is determined in terms of the amount that we're going to use, we go ahead and submit to HCIDLA. That's the Housing Community Investment Development of Los Angeles. They're the ones that process all our applications. We do our best to make sure we send everything that's required the first shot, and if not, they'll come back to us and tell us you need some changes here and there, and we'll make the required changes and send the applications back to them. Once this is complete, once the application is complete and it's been approved, a council file is opened on that particular area. So if you have Council District 5 and they have 5 projects, there's not just one application. We need to go and do 5 separate applications for every single area, and that's done throughout all the council districts. So once we have approved that, there's another process that needs to be done. And so we're going to do the PEP process. And what the PEP is a project eligibility proposal. So basically that goes back to our engineering group, and our engineering group does a more thorough investigation. This time we're looking at environmental issues, permit issues, ADA compliance, Davis-B, whatever it may be. We need to make sure everything is ready to actually go to construction. Once that is approved and the funds have been allocated, then we can go ahead and begin the actual design phase. Once we get to design, this is looking up, we'll be looking and designing the foundation, once again the post, the luminaires, distances, type of conduits, wherever it may be, we'll do the design work on that. If you look at page 3, it also says Prop 218. So in conjunction with doing our design work, we also need to make sure we tackle the Prop 218. Although the grants cover all the construction work and the funding and et cetera, we still need to make sure that the Prop 218 process is followed. We'll have to go and make sure the council offices make sure they express to the residents that although the installation fees and everything will be covered, you will still be assessed a fee yearly. And usually that fee is about $70 to $90, something in that range. So we can do all the work, we can get everything approved, we can start construction. Before anything is started, you have to make sure the Prop 218 process is followed. And what the Prop 218 process says is that before any assessment can be levied against any of the residents, we need to send them a ballot, they need to read the ballot, and they need to send the ballot back to us. If they send the ballot back to us saying a negative, project over, we need to move on and figure out another way. If they don't send the ballots back to us, we can still go ahead and concede. If they send the ballots back to us with a yes, we can go ahead and do the project. So that's very important that the council office does outreach with the residents and try to explain to them, yes, we will pay the upfront cost, but you guys will be required to pay the assessment every year. Simple as that. Once that's done, we turn the project over to our field operations division. We can do our division or we can do a contract. It's best that we use the field operations division because with the CDBG grants, they give you a certain fiscal year to get the work done. If it's not done, you lose your funds. So when we have our FOD, our field operations division, it's better control over it. If there's any issues, we can handle it right away. And that is our preferred vehicle for construction with these projects. Once the project is complete, you got a new lighting system. So I'll just go over some of the projects that we've completed the last couple years. I had intended on doing this on a screen, I guess, but there's not one, so these pages aren't numbered. I apologize. So we'll go to page number 4. And it starts by going over our proposed projects for fiscal year 2000. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry, please. Give me 1 second. Here we go. All right. So projects for design and construction fiscal year 2017 to 2018. We had 4 projects that used CDBG. The project at the top says Lemon Grove Lighting Phase 2. That wasn't CDBG, but the remaining 4 were. We had 7 projects that were completed. The first project was Elysian Valley Phase 4 at a cost of $200,000, 10 units. The second project was Van Nuys and LeMay Street Lighting Project, 38 units at a cost of $750,000. That was also completed. Sun Valley Lighting Improvement, 42 units, $600,000, completed May 2017. Glassell Park Transit Media, completed October 2017, 10 units at a cost of $200,000. Sun Valley Lighting Improvement, Phase 5, 40 units at a cost of $600,000. Sun Valley Roscoe and Crockett, 10 units at a cost of $200,000, completed February 2017. And also Van Nuys and Cohasset, 28 units, $560,000. We completed $3,110,000 in CDBG funded projects. Moving on. When we do the applications, we do it a year prior. So we were approved for plan year 44, which was fiscal year 18-19. Those were just approved. The construction hasn't begun yet, but those were approved. So we had 3 projects that were approved. Those projects are, give me one second, again. Okay. Those projects are Sun Valley Wheatland. We requested $500,000, and we were granted $500,000. Elysian Valley Lighting Project Phase 6, we requested $1.2 million. We were only granted $400,000. The remaining portion was transferred over to plan year 45. We requested that in the application. The last one, Valera Street Lighting Improvement, 31 units. We requested $620,000. We were granted $600,000 for 29 units. The last sheet, page number 9, do you guys all have this as project applications submitted for fiscal year 2019 and 20? These are the most recent ones that we just finished applying for in November. We just sent these ones in. So there were 8. We had 5 in Paul Krikorian's Council District 2. We had 1 in Mitchell Farrell's Council District 13, and we had 2 in Nuri Martinez Council District 6. A total of $5,340,000 have been applied for. They have not been approved yet. We won't get the answer back until around February on the approval of those applications.
You think approval in February?
Around that time. Around that time.
What's your prognosis? What do you think?
Odds are good? I don't get paid for that. I don't know.
Pure speculation.
Well, when I looked at the schedule, it said February, so I'm going with February, March, around that time, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I had planned on showing you guys some of the type of posts that we put up. So the rest of the presentation is pretty much, I have some pictures of the different post types we can use. I have some pictures of the...
Always fun to see.
Yes, yes. Love lights. So I have 10 different types of posts, as well as another 2 for the locations where we already completed. Also, I had about 8 pages of area views with the lights, etc. You don't need to go through all that. And then the very last page, before it says thank you, there is one that says BSL support on projects by other bureaus. So we do provide support on other projects by the other bureaus. There's approximately 54 projects we're helping on at a cost of $36 million is budgeted for those. We have 2,670 either street lights, bus lights, or pedestrian lights that are being implemented on those projects. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Very helpful for our record as well. Commissioner Davis, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you for this report and the discussion about the community development block grant funds.
Yes, sir.
And as I understand it from your report, these funds are used as front money to implement the lighting, and after which the residents in a given area will then get an assessment. Is that
Yes,
right?
sir.
Now, in terms of the variables that qualify us for the CDBG grants, we need to make sure that some of the regions in our city, some of the council districts in our city, continue to take full advantage of this possibility moving forward. For example, many of us on the board liaison with various council districts, myself, the 8th, the 9th, I see at least one in there from the 8th. I don't know if the 10th would be as much applicable to some of the variables that you discussed, but certainly the 8th and 9th. And I don't know how long CDBG grants will be available to cities and counties, but you know, there was rumor that perhaps not as much as we've had in the past. I don't know, but this is an area that certainly, hopefully, that we can get more of our council districts to pursue working with the Bureau.
Absolutely.
And applying for certain areas of our city that would be supportive of being able to get an assessment, that we would take full advantage of this funding to help improve our city as far as lighting is concerned. So it is my hope that particularly out of the areas that I liaison with more frequently, the 8th and the 9th, that we will be able to work and create more opportunities for us to apply for some of this money.
I will personally make sure I take care of that. Those are actually my council districts that I look over 8, 9, and 10, so I'll definitely take care of that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. In order to determine eligibility for
Yes.
a CDBG, it's census tract, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, so is that part of this, under the second
Well,
page?
yeah, there's if you go to, I guess I was going to show you that as well. If you go to one of the first handout that shows an area, shows a census tract, and it shows information. So yeah, we definitely go to ZEMAS. We pull all that information up. We look at the census tract, the block group, and that's how we do it.
Yeah, just wanted that for the record.
Yes,
because
yes,
I'm
census,
very,
yeah.
very familiar with the consolidated
Yes,
plan.
yes,
as I,
yes,
as I'm,
yes.
I am as old as the con plan. That's how I
No,
tell
no,
people
no.
my age. And then the second thing is on page 4,
Yes.
just a minor correction here. You have Lemon Grove Lighting Phase 2 as CD6. I believe that's CD13.
Which one?
On page 4,
Page 4?
projects for design and construction FY 17-18.
Okay.
Lemon Grove Lighting Phase 2. I think that just came to the board.
Okay.
And you have that under CD6, but I believe that's CD13 for the record.
Okay. I'll double check to make sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you. I'm just going to thank you and appreciate you for a great report, the flow, the context of our community development block grant dollars, how it gets and how we apply for them is very clear. So this provides for us kind of a quick overview, so I appreciate this, sir. Great report. Thank you. Let us know in February. You said,
Yeah,
So hopefully
around
we'll-
there, something like that.
We'll get some traction on that. Please come
Yes,
back and share with us.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mustafa. So the report will be received. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
And we are adjourned, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Just regarding our schedule next week, we meet regularly on Monday and Wednesday, but Friday is our first day of recess, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, great. We are adjourned.